Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. Today I'm going to be talking to you about visual schedules, why they're useful and how to create one. Many of you have probably seen visual schedules or heard about them. They can be extremely helpful to you and your child during this time of being at home and having to learn at home. Visual schedules can be useful for a whole lot of reasons. First off, they are really helpful in promoting independence for your child. Rather than you having to constantly prompt your child to put on their shoes, brush their teeth, come to the table, you can instead prompt your child to check their schedule. And this can build a self-monitoring skill for your child, as well as just executive functioning of being able to manage their selves more independently without needing to be prompted. Visual schedules are great because they also can help avoid a power struggle. If homework at 2 p.m. is written on the schedule, then it's the schedule that dictated that was happening, rather than mom or dad having to dictate that, and it could really prevent some power struggles over those less preferred activities. Visual schedules can be really helpful in alleviating anxiety. Think about your own self, how often you utilize a calendar to keep track of your appointments, and how unsettling that would feel if you didn't have that ability. So visual schedules can really answer a lot of questions for your child, such as, when am I going to get to do my iPad? How long is this task going to take? When will it be over? Visual schedules really help calm anxious brains because they provide really grounding and organizing information in that way. For a lot of children with autism or ADHD or general executive functioning challenges, the visual system is often easier to process than auditory information. So rather than you bombarding your child with a whole bunch of different auditory cues about their day, that visual pathway tends to be more simplistic and easier to register for many of the children that we work with. So visual schedules allow for that. And additionally, visual schedules are backed by evidence, supported by data. They're shown to help improve play skills, on-task behaviors, social skills, engagement, and so much more. That being said, I want to show you one particular type of visual schedules. There's lots of kinds of visual schedules that are available. I highly recommend consulting your child's speech therapist or occupational therapist to determine which type of schedule will be most beneficial for your child. The type of schedule I'm going to show you today is using picture symbols, which typically tend to be easier to generalize to various things. So a child learning a picture symbol of a dog, it tends to be easier to then generalize different types of dogs, whereas a child learning a picture of your specific dog might be harder than to generalize the overall category of dog. So I've chosen to use picture symbols for this schedule. Some things that you will benefit from having on hand: a file folder or a clipboard. A laminator if you have one, but if you don't, that's okay. You don't need one. If you're not using a laminator, tape will do just fine. A laminator will definitely help keep your visual schedule sturdy for longer term use. If you are using a laminator, you're also going to want two different types of Velcro, the rough and the smooth side of Velcro. And you'll need some scissors. So the first step in being able to create a visual schedule is to really create an outline of your entire day with your child. So really think about, from morning till evening, how is your day structured? What time is breakfast? What happens after breakfast? What time are naps if your child is napping? What time is homework time? Really try to map out the entire day. And then what you'll do is you can go ahead and do a Google search for these picture icons. You can find icons of almost anything online. We have access to a program called BoardMaker, which is available if you should choose to have something more structured to be able to build these schedules with. However, it's not necessary. You can simply Google search icons for any of these activities. So you will see with this schedule here that I've created, this is an actual schedule for one of my kiddos. We broke down his entire day and then found corresponding icons for each of those activities. So to create this, what I did was found those icons, copied and pasted them into a Word document, printed that document out. At that point, you can decide, if you do have a laminator, you can laminate those pages. If you don't, that's also okay. I wanted to show you here what it would look like without the use of a laminator. So here I have cut out each of these individual icons and use tape to put them on the page in the order of how they will occur. Having them individually placed on your file folder is helpful because it allows room for schedule changes, because schedules do change. So in this particular instance, for example, on the schedule here in the afternoon, there's play with mom or read. Maybe mom had an errand to run. If I keep this to an individual icon on here, I can remove it and simply replace it with something else like play with dad. I also can build in time for my child to have their own choice time. So perhaps I have an icon that says Johnny's Choice, and I can put that on my schedule, maybe replace something and put Johnny's Choice on the schedule as well. That gives your child a sense of freedom and autonomy over their schedule. If you are choosing to use Velcro, what I recommend doing is taking your soft side of your Velcro, put a strip of it on each side of your folder as well as on the back. Then you'll take your rough side and you'll put little piece of rough Velcro on the back of each icon that can then be stuck to the strip that you've created. There's a couple of ways to indicate when that item is finished. So for this particular child, I have it set up where there are check boxes because this child has the motor skill and cognitive ability to understand how to check off the item after it's finished. If your child maybe doesn't have the motor skill for holding a pencil or a pen, or just needs a bit of a more concrete direction, you can have them remove this icon and then take it and stick it right on the back where that Velcro strip is that you've created. So a couple of things to add to this that can be useful if you're finding that your child is overwhelmed by the number of things on this schedule. You can tape a piece of paper to the schedule so that only 1 or 2 items is shown at a time. This really breaks the information down more concretely, so your child is only receiving 1 or 2 pieces of information at a time. If you find that you get to a section on the schedule, like school via Zoom, and your child is really stuck, you can use a schedule such as a First Then schedule as a supplement to this full schedule. So how First Then might work is that I might have an icon here of school on Zoom, followed by a really preferred activity such as getting some iPad time or having a snack. This is a great way to really help increase motivation and attention for those less preferred tasks, is to use this First Then and have your then be something highly preferred for your child. And then finally, just the last bit of information I want to give you about this is when you first introduce it to your child, utilizing some really simple language like, today we're doing something new. Let's check our schedule and see what we are doing today. And then being able to, after you finish each activity, direct your child with that same language of, let's go check our schedules. Again, that's going to be really helpful in building that independent self-monitoring skill for your child to learn how to check their own schedules and manage their day. So that is a very basic visual schedule. If you have any other needs, if you feel like your child would really benefit from some speech or some occupational therapy services, you can visit our website, emergepeds.com, and one of our clinical coordinators will be happy to get in touch with you. You can fill out an intake form, and we can set up an intake call to figure out what your child's needs are and how we can be supportive to you. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope this was helpful, and have a great day.